It's time to start processing some caribou meat. Hey friends and family, Hunter and Mark got home from an epic caribou hunting trip. We haven't gone caribou hunting in years, so if you want to see the full hunt, that'll be over on the Alaska Boys channel, but over here you guys have shown some interest in what we do when we get an animal, how we process that, how we make it usable for our family. So I thought we'd bring you along today and show you what we do. Okay, step one after shooting the animal.
You have to quarter the animal and put them into game bags, and then you put them in your pack and hike back to your car or four-wheeler, or in our case, a plane.
Okay. What is quartering the animal, Mark?
So quartering the animal means that you gut it, so you have to cut the skin off of the animal, and then you take the front legs and the back legs off, the loin meat, and all of the other meat. So pretty much you cut all of the meat off of the carcass of the animal, and then you have to load it into game bags to keep it clean and carry it back to to your camp. So that could be your truck, your airplane, your four-wheeler, your boat, and then you gotta keep it clean and dry until you get home.
So when you shoot an animal in the fall, you can usually put it outside and it's cold enough, but right now we're having a heat wave. It's about 70 degrees outside, 65 to 70, so we have to store all the meat here in the refrigerator so that it doesn't spoil. Then we set up our meat processing station. We always put down some sort of paper. This is a big roll of wax paper. That means at the end of the day we can roll it all up and it's easier to get things clean. We have lots of cutting boards for cutting meat. So this is a sausage stuffer, but today we're going to be using it after we grind up the hamburger meat. We are going to be using that to fill the packages. We found that that's a very efficient way to do it, and we borrowed this amazing meat grinder, so we will be, please don't turn it on. We'll be using this industrial meat grinder today and trying it out and seeing how much we love it. For the past 14 years, we have used our KitchenAid with a grinder attachment and packaged all of our meat in Ziploc freezer bags. So if you are new to doing meat and you're watching this video because you're trying to learn about it, don't feel like you have to buy all the fancy equipment. See what you like, see what you need, and then just buy that. We are borrowing this industrial grinder and it's very nice, but our KitchenAid has worked great for a long time. You are about to see that around here, meat processing is a family affair. For those that may be wondering, this meat has no foul odor whatsoever.
It's like stuck to the meat.
Is the, what, Hunter, is this?
It's the heart.
The heart. This caribou has a giant heart, much bigger than we expected. And in case you're wondering, the heart will be cut up and ground up with the rest of the hamburger meat. All right, so Mark will pull out a bag of meat and he'll identify what it is. If it is a roast, we'll keep it separate. If it is a steak, he'll keep it separate. But if it's going to be turned into hamburger meat, he'll hand it off and it'll start getting cut into little chunks that can then be put through the grinder. And if anything is just really fatty or gross, we'll cut that off and that just goes in a separate bin. So this is all clean, good meat, and we will then put that up here into the grinder once we get enough.
And then as you can see, the meat on caribou is very red.
Mark, where does the caribou lie on like the fat scale compared to beef?
These animals don't even compare. I mean, this animal had just like, this animal had almost no fat at all. I could pull out the back leg, it had like maybe this much. And it's very, very lean. They're always moving. They're always moving, always walking. They're not sitting around.
Well, the boys moved on to other jobs, so it was my turn to clean up pieces of meat and get them ready for the grinder. All right, we've moved on to bag number 2. Mark, what is this one?
This is the back leg or a ham of a caribou. So this would be like a round roast or top of the sirloin type stuff that you would get, or round steak. You could get this. So a bunch of different cuts in here we'll take out. We're probably gonna make mostly roasts out of it and then maybe a few steaks and the rest burger.
So this meat looks a bit different than the beef you would get in the store. As you can see, it is super, super lean. There's not that marbling that you would see in a beef product because they are very lean animals. They're moving all the time. And then this is what it looks like when you grind it up. Not a ton of variation in the color, but really nice. All right, out of that back leg, we got 3 pot roasts and 3 dry roasts. So I am going to now package these ones up. When we start packaging roasts, we first package them in a plastic bag, removing as much air as possible. Then we use freezer paper, which has a wax barrier, to wrap it up like a package or a present. Then we tape it up with masking tape and label it so we know how to cook it when we pull it out. All right, next up we're gonna take this ground meat and put it in this and use these bags that Bennett's labeling as caribou burger, and we're gonna fill them up. Like we said earlier, for years we have packaged meat into Ziploc bags, but this sausage stuffer sure makes things quick. If you're interested in buying a sausage stuffer, Mark did all the research and found this one on Amazon for a great deal, and we have been really happy with it, so we'll put that link in the description below. We do not add anything to our hamburger meat when processing it, so we simply take the ground meat and load it into the machine. A little pro tip, when you're touching ground meat like I'm doing when I put it in the machine, wet your hands with water so that it doesn't stick. The goal is to have as little air as possible, so it takes some maneuvering to kind of burp the bag, but then it is as simple as turning the crank, loading the poly bags, and sealing them using the taping machine. We are using 2-pound bags here. They have lines on them so you can see how much to fill them, and we were filling them to about 1.5 pounds, which is a good size for our family. All right, we are done for day 1. We do have some steaks that are still in the fridge. They need to age a little bit longer so that they are not as tough. You have to let them cool and age in the refrigerator, so that's what we're doing with those. But other than that, we just need to clean up and put this stuff in the freezer. We've got tray number 1, tray number 2, and then these are all the different roasts. So dry roast means we want to do it like on the Traeger grill. It's maybe not quite as tough of a piece of meat. And then pot roast means that it needs to cook longer in a crock pot or for a longer time to get it to be soft and probably shred it. So that's what we got done today. Mark headed out to the stand-up freezer to get all of the meat frozen as quickly as possible. We try and take really good care of our meat so that it stays good for the year. Meanwhile, I started cleaning all the parts of the machines. It is really important to make sure that you get all of the meat off of the different parts so that the equipment will work for a long, long time. Then we roll up the protective paper, put away all the machines, wipe down the counters, sweep the floor, and close up the Hamm family butcher shop until the next animal. Caribou are much smaller than moose, and if this was a moose, we would have several more days of work ahead of us. They are just so huge. Thank you so much for coming along as we process that caribou meat. We hope that you learned something and just enjoyed seeing the process. It's a lot of work, I will admit, but we're always happy when it's done and in the freezer, and then we can just go shopping in our freezer for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, you may also like to take a peek into what else we have in our Alaska freezer. So make sure you check out that video here on our channel. I'm Lauren with This Alaska Life, and we'll see you again soon.